I'm Jesmine Dean, and today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a simple yet powerful online indexing tool for finding scholarly literature. Since it's free, it's an excellent tool to use for research in order to stay current with the latest trends in education and educational technology. It's also good for your adult learners because they will need to use a tool that will enable them to do research for papers and projects. Google Scholar indexes many different kinds of materials, from scholarly peer-reviewed articles to conference proceedings, case law, patents, and websites. And since its holdings are so diverse, you will want to use your critical thinking skills when evaluating materials that you find in Google Scholar. Google Scholar may not have the latest materials. It can take up to 6 months for Google Scholar to index things in its holdings. So if you really need to have stuff published in the month that you're in, you'll need to head to a library. But if you don't have a library handy, Google Scholar is an awesome tool to use. Google Scholar is also multidisciplinary, meaning that it indexes lots of different subjects. And this is really great news for educational technology because things from the field of computer science or things from the field of psychology can be relevant to teaching and learning. It also has some very potent features to be aware of. So I think that this little tutorial on Google Scholar will be very beneficial for you. Google Scholar is really pretty easy to use. It acts and behaves like regular Google, except it's limiting its searches to scholarly materials that you can use for research. Just like regular Google, you type in your keywords or your phrase and execute your search. I'm going to search on the community of inquiry for this exercise. Now, here's the results screen, which looks very Google-esque. One thing to note about Google is that Google sorts stuff by relevance. So stuff that is most directly related to your phrase or keywords is going to be at the top. That doesn't mean that it's going to be the latest, so you need to pay attention. For example, our topmost article is from 1995. If that's a little too old for your taste, you can use the limiters on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see that you can limit to things since 2016, 2015, or 2012. But if you want to go back a little bit further, or you're specifically looking for a particular date range, you can set that in this custom range area here. Limiting this will resort those to the dates that you have placed in question. So if we did 2010 to 2016 and we reordered that search, then we would only have things from those 6 years. Now let's look over to the right-hand side of our screen, and you'll see that there is a link for PDFs, and perhaps you might even see HTML in there. And yes, you can click directly on the item, but doing so may not necessarily take you to the full text of the item you want. So in this case, I clicked on the second result, Researching the Community of Inquiry Framework, Review Issues and Future Decisions, and this is a purchase option. If I wanted to use this link to view this article, I'm going to have to pay for it. So let's close this tab and go back to Google Scholar. Now if I click on this PDF, here is a full text PDF of that article in question. So you'll see those links. Now I'm going to close this and go back to Google Scholar. I want to show you a really neat trick under our settings. So I'm going to click this arrow and I'm going to go to our settings. Now Google Scholar has a lot of different settings that you can use to customize your search results, but there's one trick in particular that I want to show you. Google Scholar has a lot of settings for you to consider that you can use to customize Google Scholar for yourself. Right now, we're just going to look at the library links. So if you click on library links, you have an option to search for an academic library. And if you're a student or you are an alumni or you're otherwise affiliated with an academic institution, I encourage you to go ahead and search for that institution here. So I'm going to search for Boise State, and then I'm going to save that. And what that does is it makes a connection between where I am in Google Scholar and what Boise State has. So now you see on the right-hand side a Find It at Boise State link. If you click on that, it'll take you directly into Boise State's services. As you can see, now we have a link from Google Scholar to Albertsons Libraries material. And I can click on the exact article link and it will open up and actually load the material for me, full text, just as if I were inside the library itself. This is a super handy feature, and I recommend everybody try and connect to the libraries that they have access to. As you can see here, I can download this PDF and I'm not being asked to pay for it. If you're having trouble with your keyword search, Google Scholar does have an advanced search feature that allows you to really drill down into search results. You'll need to click on the arrow next to your search terms in the search box to bring up this menu. Here, you can add in exact phrases for Google to find for you, and you can even eliminate terms as well. You can also use this to limit your searches specifically to the title of articles, or to authors, or even to entire journals. This is a really great way of mining Google Scholar's holdings in order to determine what is going to fit best for your research needs. Next, we're going to talk about citation searching, which is a very powerful research trick. Citation searching is a way of examining a concept over time. Citation searching allows you to look in the past to see how a concept began, as well as looking forwards to see how the same concept is developing. Think of your concept as a timeline. You have an exciting article you've discovered, and if you want to see where that research came from, you would want to look backwards. Likewise, if you want to see how the concept is growing, you would look forwards. To look in the past at your concept, look at the item's list of references or its bibliography. Scholarly materials will include a list of references that support the topic of the paper, and looking at the list of references will give you a snapshot of that concept in the past. Here is an example article published in 2014. From this article's list of references, you see that articles it cites are older, from 2013, 1999, 2008, 2012, and 2007. These articles will show you how that idea has been developing to become the article we see here published in 2014. Articles that cite your article in their bibliographies are moving forward, demonstrating how the concept is growing and changing. What researchers are using your relevant article? You don't know unless you perform citation searching, which is really fantastic in Google Scholar. Google Scholar couldn't make citation searching any easier. Underneath the initial item record, you see a cited by with a number. And if you click on that link, that will execute a search in Google Scholar for all of the papers that cite that item in its bibliography. So we were looking at that 1995 paper, Teaching for Better Thinking, the Classroom Community of Inquiry. And here are all of the results that cite that in their bibliography. This is a great way to see everything that is moving forward. The very last thing I would like to show you today is back in Google Scholar settings, and this is the button feature. The button feature is actually a little plugin that sits on top of your Firefox and will read interesting citation information and execute a search for that item in Google Scholar. So let's go over to a paper I have open, and perhaps I want to find this paper because it sounds interesting. I click the button, and it'll go ahead and search Google Scholar for the item. Now I can link directly into the record in Google Scholar, or I can even find it at Boise State. And look, there's my cited by link, related articles, and all the information that I would need to know. So that was Google Scholar in 8 minutes. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you find Google Scholar a valuable tool for your teaching and learning. Thank you.